I never thought I'd be the type of man who could feel invisible in my own marriage. Yet there I was, standing by the buffet at Mark and Laura's anniversary party, watching my wife Vanessa laugh a little too freely at a joke from someone I didn't know. The golden light of the chandelier caught her hair just so, glinting like nothing in the world could touch her, and yet I felt it, a sudden, sharp pang of disorientation, as if I had been erased. "Roommate," she said, leaning slightly toward him, her lips curling into a smile meant for someone else. I froze. The word didn't land the way a passing joke might. It hit like a stone in the chest. Roommate, that was my name now. A hollow, distant label for the woman I had built a life with, the woman who had promised forever and whispered under our wedding arch. I walked home that night in silence, letting the cold bite through my coat, letting the city hum around me while my mind replayed every nuance of that moment. How could someone I loved so completely dissolve into this person I barely recognized? The questions looped endlessly. Was it just a stupid party joke? Was I imagining something because of paranoia? Or had I been blind for years? Over the next few weeks, the air in our apartment thickened with unspoken tension. Vanessa began disappearing more often, claiming late nights at work, early morning meetings, or visits to a friend who, somehow, never seemed to be there when I called. I started noticing small details. The lingering perfume, the faint smell of someone else's cologne on her scarf, her phone screen lighting up with messages she hastily hit whenever I entered the room. "Are you sure you left this here?" she would ask, holding up her phone like it had slipped from her hand accidentally. But I knew better. The world has a way of whispering truths to you, and I was starting to hear them. One evening, I decided to confront my own disbelief. I followed her just once, I told myself, and the night unraveled in a way I could never prepared for. The cafe near her friend's apartment was dimly lit, the kind of place where shadows cling to corners. There she was, smiling that same smile at him, brushing his arm, her hand lingering longer than any friendly touch should. They leaned close, whispered, laughed, and the casual intimacy was undeniable. My stomach churned, my chest tightened. Betrayal wasn't a word anymore. It was a living, breathing presence between them, and I was standing outside its door, cold and furious. I went home that night and stared at her sleeping form, her face peaceful and unaware, or pretending to be. I wanted to scream. I wanted to shake her awake and demand answers. But instead, I felt something darker, quieter, and infinitely more calculated rise in me. If she could reduce me to a roommate in front of the world, then I would make her feel the void I had been feeling, the emptiness, the absence, the invisibility she had imposed on me. I stopped chasing her, stopped pleading for honesty. I withdrew into the walls of our apartment, leaving the silence thick, letting the bed between us grow colder, letting her words hit nothing but air. At first, she noticed, a few sharp questions, a few hurt looks. But as weeks turned into months, the realization settled in. The intimacy she had taken for granted, the closeness she assumed, was gone. I existed beside her, but I was untouchable. My heart still ached, but my spirit became a fortress. And then one evening, the confrontation arrived without me needing to plan it. She came home later than usual, a soft knock at the door, a hesitant, "Hey, you're awake?" I looked at her, really looked at her, the woman who had laughed in front of the world, and I realized that the hurt I had carried so silently had changed me. "Yes," I said, "I'm awake, and I'm done pretending I'm invisible." Her face faltered for the first time in months, the facade crumbling. She tried to speak, but there were no words that could undo months of betrayal, no apology sufficient to bridge the hollow space she had created. And I understood, finally, that the power of betrayal isn't just in the act itself. It's in the quiet erosion of trust, the subtle, everyday voids that make love unrecognizable. I left her standing there, in the dim glow of our living room, and walked out into the night. It wasn't triumph I felt. It wasn't vengeance. It was clarity. I had been invisible to her, yes, but I would never be invisible to myself again. And in that realization, the void I created around her wasn't emptiness at all. It was my survival, my reclaiming, my quiet, painful victory. Sometimes she would call my name later, in texts or hesitant voices. But I was already gone, and the silence she once flung carelessly at me became the answer she never wanted to hear.